Okay, well, we all know Futurama, right? Matt Groening's other show that isn't The Simpsons, or Disenchantment, or any of his other failed projects that aren't The Simpsons. Back in the late 90s, Groening premiered Futurama, which was pretty much a futuristic Simpsons. Hell, they even did a crossover with them. This show has gone on and off and on and off. It's practically the same treatment as Family Guy. But for me, the quality has always stayed with Futurama. Sure, not every season's a masterpiece, but certain seasons really brought home what Futurama was supposed to be. Not a terribly amazing animated series, but a series with those little details that make it worth watching and rewatching. Hell, no matter how overly bad Season 11 actually is, I'd still say I'd prefer this over the 34 seasons we have of The Simpsons. And hey, my initial putting off of watching Season 11 might come to an end, because in the same vein as SpongeBob, I want to take a look at what I consider to be a top 3 animated series right next to BoJack Horseman and Regular Show. This will be a series of videos discussing every episode of a season of Futurama. If you want more details on how these videos work, refer to my SpongeBob ranking. For Season 1, there were only 9 episodes, so this won't be as long, as the show is being shopped around and ultimately finding the right network. Clearly that didn't happen as often as you'd think. Of these 9 episodes, I'd say a good handful of them are actually pretty solid, setting up the series and the world, hell, universe that surrounds it. So here's all 9 of these episodes ranked worst to best. Number 9, My Three Sons. I'm afraid this episode is just not very funny. My Three Sons is a very messy episode, following Fry becoming an emperor of these liquid people. Yeah, that's about it.
You don't even have a sense of taste.
Honey, I wouldn't talk about taste if I was wearing a lime green tank top.
The whole episode is wildly unfunny, reminding me that this was the same team around the time Simpsons was dying. Like always, Bender gets a laugh from time to time, but it just becomes stale by the end. I don't like when they let Fry be an asshole, so I guess that bias is there. I like the designs on the liquid civilization, but the rest of it definitely reeks of worse of Season 1 material. Number 8, Fear of a Bot Planet. Besides My Three Sons, I actually laughed at most of these episodes.
Oh, so just because a robot wants to kill humans, that makes him a radical.
But Fear of a Bot Planet is kind of a tough episode, following Bender delivering a package to a civilization of robots who hate humans. But when he gets captured, it's up to Fry and Leela to go and rescue him. And I'll just let this line speak for itself.
Look who's scraping up the filth. Is it a human child? I wish.
Fear of a Bot Planet is funny, but I feel like exploring this robot civilization would have aided the episode tremendously. They make a joke about how robots leak oil the way humans pee, and that's funny and all, but it just ends with the robots snitching on Fry and Leela.
We're close enough to when you knock a player down with a beer bottle, he stays down.
Bender's a highlight as always, and I gotta admit, Hermes is an underrated character in the whole series, and he has some good lines here.
Get away, you filthy bird!
A big issue I have is that it's just kind of predictable, which isn't a bad thing considering, Simpsons writing.
First of all, this is serious. And second of all...
Fear of a Bot Planet isn't great, but the few laughs there are keep it above My Three Sons. Number 7, A Big Piece of Garbage.
How long do I have to live?
Ooh, dibs on a CD player.
This episode is a bit mean, but honestly, the rest of the episode is really funny. Following Professor Farnsworth being a laughingstock at an inventors convention, until he remembers his greatest creation, the Smelloscope, a telescope that lets you smell things in space. This becomes a problem when they discover a huge ball of garbage heading Earth's way.
As long as you don't make me smell Uranus. But astronomers renamed Uranus in 2620 to end that stupid joke once and for all. Oh, what's it called now? Urectum.
Like all 8 of the other episodes outside of My Three Sons, the episode is chock full of good jokes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4.
I like the beginning with Farnsworth presenting his invention and somehow he's laughed at, but a useless scuba suit for fish is applauded.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
But the episode is a tad bit mean and it completely goes off the nature of Farnsworth. I also argue Bender didn't have enough lines in this, but up to them landing on the garbage ball, there's some good bits from the whole crew here.
Aww.
The highlight really is the focus on Fry's past, how yes, they were Slavs, but some good came from that Slavish nature. It's hard to really call this a bad episode, I just really could have done without the needless mean spirit. In episodes where the mean spirit is needed, it's okay, but here, it could have been cut out. Number 6, Love's Labor Lost in Space.
But I'm perfectly happy with my life the way it is.
That sounds like a cry for help.
I'm just gonna say it, Zap Brannigan is one of my least favorite characters. His whole joke is that he's a pig. Cool, like 5 Simpsons characters did that too. With that, this episode actually has some good Leela lines, alongside the usual good stuff from Bender.
Just like Noah's Ark.
Why 2? Oh.
I'm uncomfortable with Zap initially seducing Leela, or in this case, guilting her. Okay, to what the episode is actually about, a planet is about to go kaput, but the animals need saved. However, Zap Brannigan and his crew stop them, and Brannigan convinces Leela to sleep with him.
It's not like you slept with him. Oh my God!
This being said, I love Kip as a character. He doesn't get nearly enough screen time here. The rest of the episode is pretty standard. I like the addition of Nibbler, he's a bit cute. Admittedly, Brannigan does have some good setups for future better episodes.
In the game of chess, you can never let your adversary see your pieces. What?
My biggest issue at the end of the day is just the uncomfortable nature of Brannigan. But Leela's great and so is Bender per usual.
Okay, I got a lock on him. Yep, he's gay.
Number 5, A Fishful of Dollars.
I'm boned.
A Fishful of Dollars is also kind of mean-spirited, but at least Fry learns his lesson. With that, this episode follows Fry finding out he's a billionaire due to the interest that accumulated over 1,000 years.
$4.3 billion.
He then goes on to buy a bunch of things from his time. The best part about this episode is Mom, a character who seems sweet and fragile, but is kind of a witch. Funny contrast considering she's voiced by Tress MacNeille, who's always been good at those characters.
And you, sir?
No thanks.
Again, the humor is what makes this episode. I like the commentary on the need to buy material things, no matter how useless they are. He spends $50 million to buy a can of anchovies!
Yeah, it is cute.
But he is unnecessarily mean to Bender and Leela, but like I said, he learns his lesson by the end.
More.
There aren't any more, and there never will be.
More. More. More.
A Fishful of Dollars is a pretty funny bout into the world of unnecessary material things. Number 4, Space Pilot 3000. Ah yes, the first episode. This one is iconic. Showing Fry getting frozen for 1,000 years, waking up in the year 3000, meeting Leela, then meeting Bender, and getting to see how much has changed between 1999 to 2999. What I like about this episode is that it does everything it can to introduce just enough of this new New York, while also showcasing how certain things work.
Can we have some money?
Oh my, no.
We see stuff like suicide booths, the Head Museum, even seeing the old New York in its decaying state. It's also pretty funny. I like this little joke between Fry and Leela.
Is it about my eye?
Sort of.
Just ask the question.
What's with the eye?
Even though it's clearly the first episode and some kinks needed working on, I have a lot of respect for how well this episode does. Number 3, I Roommate. I Roommate is a pretty clever episode showing Bender and Fry moving in together. My favorite part about this episode is easily the different apartments they look at. I also like how this episode really develops the relationship between Fry and Bender, a highlight of the overall series. Bender is and forever will be my favorite character in this series, and any episode surrounding him is always a treat.
I don't know. I got a lot of great memories in my old place. And now they're gone.
I also like the introduction of Calculon and his very sappy soap opera All My Circuits. The jokes about Bender's antenna are also very creative and funny.
You call that an antenna?
What can I say? I love this episode. It's funny, clever, and even heartwarming towards the end. Number 2, the series has landed. This episode was pretty much setting up the rest of the show that the pilot didn't get to set up. We get to see how Planet Express works, we meet new characters like Amy, Hermes, and of course Zoidberg.
What? My mother was a saint! Get out!
And we even get to see a whole moon amusement park.
Keep those things off of me!
What I like about this episode is, while Fry is a selfish jackass in this episode for wanting to see the real moon, Leela in turn learns why it's so important to him to see the moon in the first place. This episode has a lot of classic lines from everyone, Fry, Bender, even Amy, who's also an underrated gem in the series. The moon amusement park alongside the stuff on the moon are some of the most creative designs in the season.
I really ought to do something. But I am already in my pajamas.
I like how when Bender gets caught sleeping with one of the farmer dude's robot daughters, it's the fucking fridge.
No, Pa. I love him.
The series has landed is such a funny episode and sets up the rest of the series pretty well. Number 1, Hell is Other Robots. Oh, it had to be this episode as number 1. The introduction of one of my favorite side characters, the Robot Devil, voiced by Dan Castellaneta, by the way.
Welcome to Robot Hell!
That catchy-ass song, and without a doubt, the funniest of any of these episodes. Bender learns the way of Robot Christ, but falls back into the world of sin pretty easily, actually.
You know you wanna.
Well...
Such, he's taken to robot hell and meets the robot devil. From here, Fry and Leela must go save him, the catchy-ass song with the Beastie Boys, and a perfect end to the first season for me. For how small the season was, it felt like Hell's other robots ended things pretty well. And that's honestly a weird thing. This video is probably going to be shorter than the others, but honestly, I can't wait to get into easily the funnier and bigger seasons.